Hey everyone, and welcome back to CoinTalk Podcast. For a deep dive into something pretty wild, we're talking cryptocurrency and agriculture.
Yeah, it's not something you see every day.
You got that right.
Yeah.
Our friends over at trcrypto.news dropped this bombshell, Tether.
Yeah.
The company behind that stablecoin USDT. They're making a play for a controlling stake in Adecoagro,
Wow.
a big name in South American agriculture.
Yeah, they're not messing around either. This is a full-blown takeover attempt.
Exactly. They're offering $12.41 share for 51% of the company. Bold move.
Definitely bold.
Has everyone in both crypto and agriculture kind of scratching their heads. So for everyone watching a CoinTalk podcast, let's unpack this a bit.
All right, so first things first. Tether's been quietly buying up Adecoagro shares for the past year. They already hold almost 20%. This wasn't just out of nowhere.
Right, so this is a calculated strategy.
Yeah, it seems that way.
And to give our CoinTalk podcast viewers some context here, Adecoagro is a major player in South American agriculture, producing everything from soybeans and sugarcane to biofuels, operations in Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay. Not just some small farm. It's a multi-billion-dollar agribusiness giant.
Absolutely a vertically integrated company. Crop production, processing, logistics. They even generate renewable energy through biofuels.
Wow, so they're a real powerhouse.
They are a significant force in the region's food and energy markets.
Okay, so we got Tether, this crypto giant, going after Adecoagro, this agricultural powerhouse. Why?
That is the question, isn't it?
The million-dollar question. We don't have all the answers,
Yeah.
but we can explore some theories, and if you've got your own ideas, make sure to hit us up in the comments section on CoinTalk Podcast.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts. So let's start with an obvious possibility. Could this be a hedge against inflation?
Makes sense. Inflation's been a global concern. Lots of investors looking for safe havens. And farmland, with its value and potential for growth. It's often seen as a good bet during times of inflation.
It makes sense. Farmland's a tangible asset. It produces essential goods, food and biofuels in Adecoagro's case. That makes it somewhat resilient against economic downturns.
So theory number one, Tether's playing the long game, diversifying their assets, and looking for a stable store of value.
Yeah.
In the face of potential economic uncertainty. Smart move for any investor.
That seems like a smart move. But there's another layer here. Tether, as most of you watching CoinTalk Podcast know, is famous for its stablecoin USDT. But there have always been questions about its transparency and what exactly backs that stablecoin.
Oh, interesting point. So could this be a play to create a more stable and transparent backing for USDT? By tying it to real-world assets. Imagine a portion of USDT being backed by actual farmland and agricultural production.
Now that's a compelling narrative,
Right.
Tether could say.
Yeah.
A portion of your USDT is backed by this massive network of farms producing essential food and energy.
Wow.
It could be a game changer for their credibility and stability.
Right, it's like a gold-backed currency. But instead of gold, soybeans and sugarcane. That's fascinating. Don't forget to subscribe to CoinTalk Podcast for more deep dives into these mind-blowing ideas.
Now we also have to think about the potential for some broader goals. Agriculture. It's fundamental. It's essential for feeding the world, empowering economies. Could Tether be looking at something bigger than just a financial play?
This is where it gets really interesting for me. We're talking potential influence over food production, bioenergy markets, maybe even global supply chains. This is where crypto bumps up against some serious geopolitical realities.
And that's something that deserves some careful consideration. What happens when a crypto company gains significant control over a major food and energy producer? We need to start asking those questions
Absolutely, lots to think about.
as these industries converge. Welcome back to CoinTalk Podcast. We're continuing our deep dive into Tether's surprising move to acquire Adecoagro last time. We looked at some of the reasons behind this.
Right, why would Tether want to do this?
Exactly. But
Yeah.
what about Adecoagro? How are they looking at this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Adecoagro's board hasn't said yes or no yet. They're weighing their options. I bet there are some pretty intense discussions happening behind closed doors.
I'd imagine so.
Let's try to see things from their perspective.
Okay, so first off, Adecoagro is already a successful and established company. Strong track record in South American agriculture. This isn't some struggling startup that needs rescuing.
Right, they're a leader in sustainable agriculture and renewable energy. And right now, global agricultural markets are doing really well. So investors are really interested. Adecoagro's in a good spot.
Yeah, they are. So they'll be thinking about the financial side of Tether's offer. Is $12.41 per share a fair price? Does it reflect the true value of the company? Their financial analysts will be busy figuring that out.
But it's not just about the money, right?
Yeah.
Adecoagro has a reputation as a responsible and forward-thinking company. They want to protect that. They'll need to make sure any deal doesn't mess up their partnerships.
Right.
Or their long-term strategy.
Or their image. They've worked hard to build that reputation, so they'll be thinking about the impact on their relationships with suppliers, distributors, and of course, their employees.
Right. People's livelihoods we're talking about here.
Exactly. It's not just about shareholders.
And what about the culture clash? Tether comes from this fast-paced crypto world, Adecoagro. It's more traditional, more rooted in agriculture.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Can those two cultures even work together?
It's a big question. Merging two very different cultures, it can be a disaster if it's not done right.
Yeah, you could end up with conflicts in management styles, communication breakdowns.
Even clashes in values.
So Adecoagro's board has a lot to consider. The financial benefits, the risks to their operations, their reputations, their company culture.
It's a big decision.
And it's going to have ripple effects throughout the crypto and agriculture industries.
Let's talk about those ripple effects. The story isn't over. There are a few different ways this could all play out.
Okay, time to put on our prediction hats. For everyone watching on CoinTalk Podcast, let's game this out. Scenario number 1. Adecoagro accepts Tether's offer. What happens then?
Well, Tether gets what they want, control of Adecoagro. It would really shake up the agriculture industry.
It'd be interesting to see how Tether would manage this.
Yeah, how would they handle it?
Would they put their own people in charge? Would they try to merge Adecoagro's operations with their crypto business? Or would they let Adecoagro keep running things on its own?
Lots of possibilities.
Yeah, lots of unknowns.
And don't forget the potential for pushback. A crypto company taking over a major food and biofuel producer. That's going to raise some eyebrows.
Yeah, you could see regulatory challenges, political opposition,
Yeah.
maybe even boycotts.
Definitely a possibility.
Okay, that's scenario 1. Scenario 2.
Yeah.
Adecoagro rejects Tether's offer.
What happens then?
What happens then?
Well, Tether could just walk away. Or they could try again with a better offer, a higher price, maybe some added incentives to convince Adecoagro's board.
Or they could go for a hostile takeover.
That's the nuclear option.
What would that look like?
They'd go straight to Adecoagro shareholders, try to get them to sell their shares, even if the board says no.
Wow, that's aggressive.
It is. And it could get messy.
It's a gamble for Tether. They could alienate partners, hurt their reputation. What if the shareholders side with Adecoagro's management?
Then it all backfires.
Exactly.
And of course, there's always the compromise option, a partnership or a joint venture. Tether and Adecoagro could work together without a full takeover.
Ah, the everyone wins scenario.
Potentially.
Tether gets access to Adecoagro's expertise and resources. Adecoagro gets money and technology. Both companies benefit from the collaboration.
It would be less dramatic than a hostile takeover,
Definitely less dramatic.
but it could be the most practical and beneficial solution.
Okay, so there you have it, folks. Watching CoinTalk Podcast. 3 possible scenarios,
Yeah.
each with its own pros and cons.
The future of Tether and Adecoagro is up in the air.
We'll have to wait and see.
And the outcome of this, it's going to have effects beyond just these two companies. This could shape the future of how crypto and agriculture work together, how they're regulated, even how people see them.
It's a big deal. All right, welcome back to CoinTalk Podcast for the final part of this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground. The news, possible motivations, different scenarios. We've even tried to put ourselves in Tether and Adecoagro's shoes.
It's been pretty interesting.
It has. But now, for those of you watching on CoinTalk Podcast, it's time to zoom out and ask ourselves, what does this all mean?
The big picture.
Right? What are the big takeaways from all of this?
Well, I think the biggest one is that crypto and traditional industries, they're colliding. We've been talking about this for a while, this convergence. But the Tether Adecoagro situation, it really makes it real.
It's not just theory anymore. It's actually happening.
Exactly.
We're seeing real examples of crypto impacting industries like agriculture.
And that affects everyone.
It does.
It's going to change how businesses work, how we invest, even how we think about things like food and supply chains.
It's not just about some financial thing anymore.
It's about the things we need every day.
It makes you wonder, what's next? Could we see a crypto company buying an energy producer? Real estate? Pharmaceuticals?
It's all possible. And we need to be ready.
Yeah, the lines between digital and physical economies, they're getting blurry.
Creates both opportunities and challenges.
Definitely. One challenge that comes to mind is regulation. As these crypto companies get bigger and start making these moves, governments are going to start paying attention.
Oh, absolutely. There's going to be more scrutiny from regulators, more debates about the rules, maybe even international agreements.
This is something everyone watching CoinTalk Podcast needs to think about, whether you're a crypto expert or just curious about technology.
Crypto regulation will impact all of us.
For sure.
And it's important to remember there's no easy answer. Different countries have different approaches, different priorities.
Right, it's complicated.
It can be a complex and evolving situation.
Lots of uncertainty.
But that's what makes it so interesting, right?
I guess so. And it brings up another important point. We need to talk about this. The potential impacts of crypto and traditional industries.
Openly and honestly.
Yeah, the good and the bad.
This isn't about being for or against crypto. It's about looking at it critically.
Right.
What are the benefits of crypto in agriculture? What are the risks? How can we make sure this benefits everyone?
Tough questions.
ER.
But we need to figure it out. That's why we do CoinTalk Podcast, to have these conversations. So share your thoughts in the comments. Let's explore this together.
The more perspectives we have, the better we'll be able to handle what's coming.
And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and if you know anyone interested in this stuff, share this deep dive with them.
Let's get more people talking about this.
Absolutely.
Now, before we go, I want to leave our CoinTalk Podcast viewers with a thought. If the Tether Adecoagro thing is a sign of things to come, the future is going to be full of surprises.
Good surprises.
Maybe.
Bad surprises.
Maybe those two.
A little of both.
Exactly. But one thing's for sure. The people who are paying attention and thinking critically, they're the ones who are going to shape that future.
So stay curious, stay critical, stay involved.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive here on CoinTalk Podcast. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep the conversation going.